We've come to the showroom of Howe in Old Street, London, to talk to the RIDI Group about a new ethical manifesto that they're calling Responsible Light. I'm here with Mike Attard, Managing Director of RIDI Lighting Limited. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Hello, John. Good to meet you at last. Yes.
Yeah, in the flesh after all those Zoom calls. We're here because there are things happening. Conversations are changing. We're finding that manufacturers are having to talk about things that, well, to be honest, we never knew they had to talk about before. In the RIDI's terms, it's going under the title of Responsible Light. And it's about ethics. So this conversation is going to be about how the modern architectural lighting company works behind the scenes. We're going to start with Mike is going to explain to us a little bit about what RIDI Lighting is about, because I'm saying RIDI Lighting, but actually that's not the full story, is it?
Yes, it's actually RIDI Group now, which is our umbrella brand. So RIDI Group basically is a formation of RIDI Lighting, Spectral and Li-Fi. And also in the UK we use that umbrella brand to bring in a few unique brands like Norca and Bright Green and companies like that. So basically it enables us to do a one-stop shop for all our projects. Okay.
There are some names in there that ring a bell for me going back many, many years, and no one really would have expected a brand like Norca, for example, to be part of under the RIDI umbrella. But as you say, it's one-stop shop.
It's a distributorship so that there seems to be a commonality within Europe. A lot of the distributors have worked with Norca, but they're not linked. We don't own Norca, but there's a lot of alliances in Germany they have with distribution channels, so that companies are quite close. But we just want to make sure people don't think we own them.
Oh, okay. Well, that point is made. Yeah. We're talking ethics. Ethics tend to come down from the top. It tends to be about the people who run the business. And RIDI's got quite a story there, because I've done my homework. Yeah. Starts in 1952 with making some kitchen lights out in the garage, I think. Yeah. And the family is still in control of the company today.
Yes, so yes, just as an interesting one, that the company actually started off as an electrical contractor in Germany in 1952, which is quite interesting, especially when we have relationships with contractors at the moment, that we were one of them once. The thing about the seasons in Germany back in the 50s, which was quite alarming, was that 4 to 5 months of the year they were engulfed in snow. And a lot of contracts basically would be suspended for sort of 4 to 5 months. So Richard Dietz at the time turned his hand to, well, what can we do in the winter months? They knew there was a supply where they used to purchase lights, and they thought, well, we would start making lights in the winter, and then we could supply them in the summer. So talk about seasonality. I never thought I could bring that into lighting. So that was how they started, and for a good 5 years or so, that was how the model worked. And then eventually they became, the lighting thing took over. They exhibited at one of the major exhibitions in Germany, and off they went.
They showed at Hanover, didn't they?
Yeah, but it was the focus primarily was domestic lighting, and then it wasn't until the 70s where they really hit the technical market and realised that was place to go. So the family's all still there in same site in Yunningen. The original house and contractor's office is across the road. It's still there.
And looking at the way that the RIDI group is managed, it does seem that some of those principles of being able to make a light fitting on your own workbench, which means that you can also take it apart on your own workbench. That some of those principles are still stand today, and that's really why we're here talking about responsible light, talking about the ethics of what it is that we do. And so, just give us a little bit of a taste as to what explain the 5 headings of the responsible light.
Okay, so there's the first part of it is sustainability. As a company, we've built sustainably before the word sustainable was a thing. Right from the early days, they've always made an engineered product that can be serviceable, and that was always quite an important part of what they did. So obviously, we're not the only ones that do this, but they have a fully sustainable plants where they're, all the photovoltaics, the biomass heating system for the entire factory. All the production values have always been quite strong in Germany, so they've always built that. The product element, though, is something that's evolving and obviously has become quite critical and quite important there. But as I say, they've always done this out there. They've had solutions in Germany for 20 odd years where they've refurbished old fittings, and if I'm being brutally honest, in the UK we saw them as quite old-fashioned and not very aesthetic, but actually when you look at it, it was a very green sort of solution, and they had probably clients that were looking beyond just the economics of it. So.
Here's a question that I would really love to know the answer to, and I don't even know if we've got an answer to it. The design process within RIDI, is presumably all in-house?
Yes, although in Germany they have used a few architects and a few product designers of late. But yes, all the early incarnations were in-house products. So.
Because again, we were talking about before we came on camera that the move to LEDs brought with it another factor in the whole sustainability issue, that you now control all of your own LED boards.
Yeah, so the early days are quite interesting in the transition, because we suddenly realised we were working with this electronics technology, and like a lot of companies, we were quite probably ham-fisted about it in the early days. A lot of wasted R&D into heat sinks, remember those? Massive heat sinks that look like cylinder blocks of engines. All of a sudden, within a couple of years, just not needed. So all that R&D process. But one of the critical things in that period is that we're also noticing the supply chain where there was some quite interesting modules, Zaga ones, but also, if you remember the Spotlight, there was a Spotlight module, a series of hexagons, which was used. But really interesting. When we actually went to design a product with it, all of a sudden it was withdrawn. And we realised there was this problem, this life cycle problem that we were out of control of. There were also, being honest as well, back at the time there were patent issues which were driving manufacturers like ourselves to actually think of bringing these products in-house. So that's why they started with the whole edification thing and producing boards in Germany. But there's also 2 critical elements. RIDI was latterly brought out this commitment of 10-year commitment to parts. They've always been quite loyal to their customer base, their end users, that their products are available for servicing, and obviously with electronics that was going to be more difficult. By bringing the boards in-house means that we can remake a board even if need be. It's not always economic, but you can do that. But it also meant we could do custom sizes and all sorts of things to fit the range. We weren't tied into an OEM sort of, footprint that we could work with. So it gave us a lot of flexibility. From an economics point of view, you'd think it would be cheaper, but it probably isn't, because, but that's not what it's about.
Well, here's my view. I think that we understand the economics that we've got, and we understand the economics that we've had, but we're not so smart at foretelling what the economics of the future might be.
Yeah.
And it's more important that we can do things that might well prove perfectly economic as we go down the line. So I think it's a very important facility to have there.
Yeah.
The other issues here are, it's not only about the product. You're not only, if you like, good product makers, but you're also good product advisors and good product users in the talent and the expertise that you've got in the company to actually advise on how we should be lighting our spaces.
Yeah.
And we've got that thing again within responsible light, which we're just calling design standards.
Yeah.
Which isn't just about EPDs, yeah. Which yes, clearly, I mean, there's the design elements. The EPD, as I say, that's quite important at the moment. But yes, it's trying to work with whether it be developers, architects, to provide what we think are quite responsible solutions. So we're not overlighting spaces. So we are providing flexible lighting for Category A offices where there's a lot of waste.
Yes, we are. The conversation around BSEN 12464 is very much alive, and I don't know of any manufacturer who's really got the answer to this one, because I think it's been the suspicion is that it's been put together by people who do not understand the Cat A fit out. I might be being rude to some people, and some of my friends probably saying that, but we know that an awful lot of this stuff happens in buildings where we cannot say where the workstations are. We don't know how many people are going to be in the space or how they're going to be functioning. Yeah. But we have to rely on the world as we currently know it. So how do you apply something like that?
Yeah, I mean, we can't be complete hypocrites. I mean, we also supply complete blanket Cat A schemes as well, because I say that there is a general, it is a general way to light a space, and it is a general requirement for it. But we'd like to think there could be more input into how these are done, and we've got a few successful jobs that we've done of late where we've showed that there's a flexible lighting scheme that they can adapt. So yes,
which I suspect comes under your smart controls heading within your responsible
partly the
light.
smart controls, yes. The smart controls is a way of managing that, but we're thinking more in terms of smart lighting systems where we can actually demount and move and take out lights or redistribute them within a track scheme. So we're talking about like pre-wired trunking type of arrangements that feed luminaires that the incoming tenant can move around to suit their desk layouts.
So your attitude to Cat A is not of a fit it and then forget it, because that's what you've got.
Yeah, that it should be, wherever we can, it should be. Clearly there's some aesthetic schemes that just don't lend themselves to that, but in the main, especially with the trend for exposed services, we can provide quite flexible systems that would work very well with that.
Okay. And the one thing, of course, the reason that we're having to think about all of this stuff is the fifth limb of responsible light, and that is the well-being side of things, the acknowledgement that we're lighting for people.
Yes.
We're not lighting for process, which is what we've been doing for the last 40 years. We're lighting for the people doing the process. And again, that's not been an easy ride through human-centric lighting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're lucky in that we've got quite a few schemes in place that we've delivered. We've not just spoken about this subject. We've genuinely sort of worked on and delivered, and we've learnt some quite important aspects. So it's not, you don't just put a tunable flat panel in and there you've got well-being lighting. It doesn't quite. Well, you've got to get the balance of the light right. You've got to, the two all work together. It's not just about delivering colour. There's a whole unity in the sort of scheme. So that's the experience that we worked on, and it's great that we've ended up working on sort of offices, but also public buildings and education space as well. I mean, one of the amazing ones last year was doing a job up at Leeds Station,
yes.
Which was just amazing to see that in the reality of that. And obviously the controls were a big element, but we're learning as well on the back of that. I mean, these jobs can be a bit painful to set up and go through, but we're learning a lot. So.
Okay, right. Last little strand. We're sitting in the house showroom in Old Street in London, and this is your UK display facility. So,
yes,
anyone who wants to come and have a look at some stuff, get in touch with you, and you can meet them here.
Yeah. So we're the cuckoos in the nest, effectively. So it's house showroom, but we've effectively brought in the lighting, and we've worked with them to light the space, and in return for that, it gives us a presence in London as well.
Let's just remind everybody of what How do.
So How are commercial office and education furnishing. They're I suppose they're particularly well known for portable and demountable furnishing, which they do, say, very big in the education sector, but they also have, and they work with some very famous Scandinavian designers as well, so it's a nice product. So that's my plug.
Well, there we are, yes. But over in Jungingen,
yep.
I did say that right.
Jungingen.
Too many G's in there.
Look, John Estelle's worked with us for 10 years and still can't say it, so you're fine.
Over in Jungingen, we have a thing called the campus,
yes,
which is very exciting.
Yeah.
And that really is telling the RIDI Group story. Can you just explain to us what
Well, first of all,
is there?
Exciting, but also incredibly frustrating, because it opened not long before lockdown. So we took a group of architects out there in the January before that, and that was the last and only event that's ever been staged there on a sort of public basis. But yes, the campus is an opportunity to live and breathe lighting, but also to demonstrate it. It's an educational area, but it's also practical. It's usable office space and demonstration space. And as I say, this was a purpose-built facility that was added on 3 years ago now.
Yeah, and we talked about maybe making a virtual visit to Jungingen, if that becomes possible.
Yes, I mean, there was an enthusiasm in lockdown where we all became a bit Zoom-centric and sort of think, how can we get people to see our things online? And I think the appetite's waning for that, if I'm being honest. But yes, we are looking at doing workshops and modules, which could work quite well in that format, and we can show feeds of information from Germany with presenters from Germany. But I think the concept that was in our heads initially of, coming for a virtual factory tour and we'll do it live was a logistics nightmare. And also, I don't think the appetite is there for people to stay behind a screen for an hour and a half watching a factory tour, if I'm being honest. So, yeah.
No, I think it's another one of those, we haven't got the answer to that one yet, yes, but it's out there somewhere.
But actually the answer is we're hoping to start resuming visits to the facility, and in Germany they're quite keen to get this back on track, because it was always a big part of what we did. One thing that the group lacked until this facility was a demonstration space and a good educational space. The factory was always up with all the major companies, but that's what we're lacking. Now we've got it, we just need to show the world it. So
excellent. Well, we look forward to that one. Thank you very much for your time. Just to let you know where we go from here, we have the 5 headings within Responsible Light, and we will be following up this introduction to RIDI lighting and the RIDI Group with some more focused videos discussing each one of those 5 issues. So look out for those, and we'll have a lot of fun doing it. Thank you very much for your time.